What we heard there was the first movement of the Hasidic Suite by Joachim Stuchevsky, and it was played by one of our guests in the Maud Moon Weyerhaeuser Music Studio this afternoon, cellist Amit Peled. It's good to have you here.
Great to be here.
And Jay Fishman is here, too. He is the conductor of a series of concerts. We're going to talk about Violins of Hope. He is the artistic director and founder of the Minnesota Sinfonia. Jay, good to see you.
And you, too. Thanks
for coming in. So we wanted to, a lot to talk about with the Stuchevsky, Amit, because as lovely and wonderful as it sounded, that was not your own cello. And this is the point of this interview, is you're playing on one of the instruments in the Violins of Hope collection. But first, tell us about Stuchevsky and this piece, the Hasidic Suite.
Well, Stuchevsky, I feel, is personally connected to me and to this cello. We'll get to that. But he was born in Ukraine in 1891, and actually to a Hasidic Orthodox family. So he went to study in what we call the Cheder. He studied Torah all day. But as he was singing the prayers, his rabbi was really struck by his beautiful and musical voice. So he told his father. And in this little shtetl, the father said, you know what, maybe that's your ticket out. And he decided to give him a musical instrument to fulfill that talent. And Stuchevsky proved to be a great cellist already in young age. And as a teenager, he was sent to Leipzig. And back then, the main teacher in the world was Karl Becker in Leipzig, and Stuchevsky got into his class and became a prominent cellist in Europe and a composer. He moved himself to Vienna in the 20s and early 30s of last century, and was both composer and cellist and also a teacher to a prominent status. And then, of course, he had to flee Europe because of the rise of the Nazis. He was Jewish, and he came to Israel. And he started teaching cello and was actually the teacher of my childhood teacher in Israel.
Wow.
So
okay.
I've known his music, mainly his exercises, his etudes, since I started playing the cello. And this Hasidic Suite became a piece that I try to play whenever I can, because it really feels like my voice. It's a voice of Jewish people who came from Europe to Israel, became integrated with what Middle Eastern culture, flair and smell is all about. And what came out is this Stuchevsky music, and it's what we call Sabra, Israelis, which is me. So that's really special to start this program. And of course, this cello that I'm using.
Yeah, what's the connection? Yeah.
This cello was made in 1896, so 5 years after Stuchevsky was born. It was made in Vienna by Karl Zack, who was a very famous maker in Vienna, and was purchased by a Jewish cellist who played on it in Vienna, and also, like Stuchevsky, flee Europe right in time, not to be executed, but he did go through the Holocaust and was in a concentration camp with this cello. He arrived in Israel and started to play in the Israel Philharmonic, which was established by Huberman in order to save Jewish musicians. And the thing in those late 30s was that, yes, we came from Europe, we have European education, we even have European instruments, but we do not want to touch them anymore. And that cellist decided never to touch this cello again. And it was brought to the violin shop of Amnon Weinstein, who later, many, many years later, started the Violin of Hope exhibition and world tour. So this cello was asleep for many, many, many years, and was occasionally played in one of those tours, but mainly in a quartet or in orchestral setup. I'm the first one to have the guts, I would say, or I should say the chutzpah, yes, to take it and to sit in front of the orchestra and to play on it 2 concertos. I must say that it's a very emotional journey to do so. And I've had the cello now for 2 days only, and we are starting to get to know each other.
Mm-hmm. What is the cello's personality, if you had to, compared to the cello you normally play?
Well, I was privileged in my career to have been playing on very famous cello. Even here in Minnesota, I came once to play with Jay with a Pablo Casals cello. I had that cello, that Goffriller from 1733 for 6 years.
Wow.
And I played on a Guarneri cello from 1689. And now my own cello is a Carl Becker from 1931. So these are great, great, great makers. This cello was asleep for many years and has a story like no other cellos. Although I played the Casals cello, this cello has a direct connection to my heart, to my soul, to my family. So it has been very special and emotional in the last 2 days to get to know it, to learn how not to disturb it, not to impose on it, to listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit asleep, but I have to say that after playing on old instruments, one has to learn how not to disturb it, as I say, and to find a way to make it blossom again. And it has been an amazing journey so far. It's like a quickie. We only have a week. So I have to get to know it, to make it blossom, and then to give it back to the exhibition. So it's very special. And of course, the pictures of Stuchevsky, of my childhood, of my grandparents, of the Israeli Philharmonic in early days, everything comes into light while playing this cello. So it's very, very special. And I'm extremely thankful for Jay to invite me and to allow me to embark on this with the cello.
I want to bring Jay into the discussion here because you are going to conduct, 5 concerts with the Minnesota Sinfonia. And you were telling me 11 of the violin players will also be playing on these Violins of Hope instruments.
Right. We're using 11 violinists, 6 first, 5 seconds.
Oh, so they're all playing.
Yeah, they're all playing on the instruments from the collection. And of course, Amit is as well.
Yeah. So tell me what that was like when you've done a rehearsal with these instruments already, right?
We've now, this morning, we actually finished our 3rd rehearsal.
Okay.
And I'm just amazed. I mean, these are my friends. Mm-hmm. I've worked with some of them, or they've worked with me, for years and years. Julia Persis, my concertmaster, and I say my because she's like my sister. 47 years together. Yeah. And, we know each other. The orchestra knows me, and I know them. And after yesterday's rehearsal, I told them, I said, I want to thank you. I feel like I'm 10 to 15 years younger working with you in these beautiful sounds. Wow. They're making these instruments sound really, really good. And it's because of them.
Was there any resistance saying, no, this is not my instrument, so I won't play as well?
No. Well, they all know. I mean, some of these instruments, they're not real high grade. I mean, as Amit said, he's played on some of the very, very best. Yeah. And we have violins in the orchestra that are very good. And some of these don't come up to that standard. But you know what? Doesn't matter. They know how to play. They know how to make sounds. And they know the emotional content.
Amit, what was it like as you were playing and then hearing these other instruments, the violins, being played as well? Tell us what that experience was like.
This took me back to my childhood in Israel. You have to understand that most of our teachers, when I was growing up, were Holocaust survivors. And in fact, one of the leading figures in Israeli music was Henry Meyer, who was an Auschwitz survivor with a number on his hand. And one time, I was thinking about it today as I was playing the Stuchevsky and the Kol Nidre. One time we played for Henry a string quartet by Beethoven, and we were lazy kids. We were not prepared, and we made fun. And it was the only time that he stopped us and he said, how old are you guys? And we were 15, 16. And he said, I will only say it once. When I was 16, I could not be prepared because I had to stand up with a violin. When my friends and family would go to gas chambers, I had to play the violin in Auschwitz in order to survive. And to see my fellow Jewish people going to gas chambers, so don't ever tell me you're not prepared or not ready for a lesson. When somebody tells you this, even now my hair is just, it puts everything in perspective. Yeah. And it's the same with quality of instrument. Jay mentioned, yes, I played on a Gofriller and a Stradivarius and a Guarneri. But to play on a cello that was through these horrors with a person that probably kept it close to him more than anything else, and survive with it, and now being able to put voice into it again, it's more special than any Stradivarius.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that you have sort of reactivated the Minnesota Sinfonia for this season? You were getting ready to shut down, right?
Right. Yeah. We did our farewell concerts in October of 2024.
Right.
And then we had made the decision that we were not going to do any more public performances. We had money in reserves, and so we were spending that to do education. We worked with 16 Minneapolis and St. Paul inner city schools. And of course, we would give this to the schools because they don't have any money. Mm-hmm. And then we did do a video recording of one of our Music in the Schools programs, because we now have 4, and that's another project. We're trying to find someone to host them so that people from across the country can have access to the program, to the not only the videos, but also all that goes with it, the curriculum guides and the activities and so on. So that's the next project. Mm-hmm. But right, we were closing down, and then I was asked to get involved with this. And then as I started to do some research, and I said, of course we have to.
Yeah.
And so I went to my board, and they said, of course we have to.
Mm-hmm. I want you to talk about the instruments, what they mean for you personally, and what they should mean for all of us into the future.
Well, I have to say that Violins of Hope is not only the hope that they had back then. I see it as hope for us now, society. I cannot stop thinking about my own kids and this younger generation that many of them don't even know that the Holocaust existed, that this horror happened. So our job playing this instrument is not only to commemorate the past and to acknowledge it, is to also make sure that the future generation understand what humankind can do to one another. And by playing them, I hope that we can really revive that discussion. And as Jay said, with the horrors that we have today, mankind, we can do terrible things to each other. And our job is to really make sure that it doesn't happen again. And by playing them, bringing back those stories, we might be able to put a little bit of notice to this young generation of what happened in the past, so it does not happen again in the future. Today, we did our rehearsal in an old people home. And there were many people attending the rehearsal. Maybe the average age was 95.
Not quite, but almost.
I couldn't stop thinking as well, as I'm thinking about all these things that happened, that some of them are probably Holocaust survivors. And they're looking old, they're fragile, yet this cello looks and sounds as it was ever, because this is kind of a car that has different drivers. I'm driving it now. It had a driver before, and it will have a driver in the future. Through driving it, we tell different stories. And it's a beautiful thought to think.
Amit Peled, thank you very much for coming in, for playing the cello for us, and for talking about Violins of Hope. I appreciate it.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And Jay Fishman of Minnesota Sinfonia, good to have you here. We need to mention there are upcoming concerts all week in various Twin Cities locations, and there's more at the Violins of Hope, mn.org, correct?
Correct. And I want to stress, these concerts are free admission. That's a Sinfonia tradition that we have had, and something that I'm really proud of.
Well, Jay, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Good talking to you and seeing you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank
and
you.
Good luck with these concerts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to hear a little more music from Amit, and you have chosen Bach, where it all comes together and begins for you, you said.
Yeah, not just for me. I think music is a universal language. And Bach in the 1720s decided to bring the cello to the front line and to write those magnificent 6 suites for cello solo. And I always feel that the prelude of the first suite in G major is sort of like birth of a voice for the cello. And my job as a cellist is to make sure that that voice is still alive. So starting with Stuchevsky, telling all this story, I think it just makes sense, at least for me now, not just as a Jewish, Israeli, American artist, as a cellist, simply as a cellist, to end this segment with Bach, which started it all and which will probably be there when we are all gone.